Peace and praise, blessed ones. So, as always, have y'all been seeing me at work? And I'm gonna be honest. I'm not too embarrassed to say this, as much as I am ashamed to say this, because I understand that you know some things you just got to keep to yourself. But I have a conflict because as much as I express how much I don't like how people will say, well, that's you in response to everything that you might not, agree with. But there's also things too where it says everybody's different, and that is true as well. And we just have to be mindful that we just have to do our best because everybody's different and because everybody has different ideologies, and we're all just trying to figure it out. For me, I know where I stand as far as with faith. I am a man of God. I believe in God. I believe God. I trust God. I have been on my spiritual journey for 39 years, and this is the best season that I've been in, which is my season of perseverance. However, what I would like to say, because I want to kind of encourage everybody to just be mindful of how you speak with people, be mindful of how you judge people, be mindful of what you put in your body, and be mindful of what you say out of your mouth. But I'm dealing with shrinkage. And with shrinkage, I mean, my little monster downstairs. And, the interesting thing with that is I have no problem with getting erections or performing or anything, but it's just kind of hey, my meat is shrinking. And the funny thing about that is because as I've been going to the doctor as far as with my health, not my health down there, I have realized as well, because again, my diet, I do have a poor diet. Sometimes I eat healthy, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I'm probably more on the unhealthy side. I eat cereal, I eat Chipotle, I go to chocolate smoothie, I eat a lot of things that are tasty to me. I never really been a big sweet person, like ice cream and cake and stuff. I mean, I do eat that, but it's not part of my diet. But I've been considered obese for quite some time, and although I haven't dealt with any heart attacks or strokes, my blood pressure level has been up there to that level, so thank God for that. But let me just address this as well. I am big on energy, and sometimes I have missed the point that food is also energy. I haven't really been eating my greens as much as I need to. I love asparagus, I love broccoli and stuff, but I don't really eat it as much as I don't know where to get it, because so I'm constantly working. But not to make no excuses. I just have to exercise more, I have to walk more, I have to do my push-ups, just even with me being a father, me being a hardworking man, me just doing things. But I want to also say this, man. I was in church today, and we was reading out of Matthew 6, and the pastor, he was talking about prayer and how much of prayer we are being performative, because a lot of people who might have been raised in a church or might just been raised to, to be, in one with God, we never really been taught how to pray. We just kind of been, told or say, ask God what you need. And God knows what we need. However, we have to posture our hearts and be authentic to Him, because a lot of times it's like sometimes people can feel, some people can kind of feel what they can feel what you might need or want, but if you don't verbally say it, then it's like, all right, well, maybe you don't want it that badly. Because I do feel like, even though God knows what we need and what we want, because He will be able to separate our wants from our needs, because we might feel like we need this, but we don't need this. But God looks at us as His children. But if you don't accept Him as your Father, if you don't go to Him as your Father, and you don't verbally seek Him, it's going to be like, well, I'm not going to force you to come to me. I'm not going to force you to understand certain things. Sometimes our life will present it in the way. But I've had struggled a lot, and I've had a lot of temptation, and as much as I know that I probably shouldn't do it, I would still do it because it was a desire that I wanted to do. Because again, you got to posture your heart. Like, I've always been a prayer. I've always believed. I always had faith, but my actions didn't reflect that. Because regardless of how people around me, people that see me, my heart wasn't 100% on God. Like I said, I've always prayed, I've always believed, I always came to Him, but there were still certain things that I was like, I'm gonna do this, God will forgive me, I gotta tell you. But it's like I said, sometimes we have to have the discipline. So the reason why I was talking about shrinkage is because, I haven't really got any complaints as far as my performance, as far as like, I don't know how to do this, but, of course, I've had my quickies at times. But look, the thing too is, like, I've battled with, edibles. I've battled with lust. I've battled with spending money. Because I have realized that it wasn't necessarily how much I was getting paid. It was about how much I was spending. And even in my current situation and circumstance, I always reflect and say, man, do I need to be here? This is what God needs to be, or am I just, again, subscribing to the standards of society? Me being 39 now, living with my mother, being divorced, working a 9 to 5, that's not ideal for me. Like, I know my own potential. Like, I'm not driven by the things that the world's driven by. Like, I'm very cool, chill, laid back. Like, it's like, hey, get it where you fit in, whatever works. I mean, sometimes it gets disheartening, sometimes it gets frustrating. But there's also a part of me that feels like, man, why am I like this? Because I know God, my Father, doesn't want me to be stressed and doesn't want me to be, weary. I definitely, it's about to rain. I definitely know where I'm going to be. I feel it in my heart, but then it's like, why? Why am I so adamant about being a billionaire? Why am I so adamant about being able to give my son everything that he wants or needs? Because that's really what it's all about. Like, I love helping people, but it's like I've been helping people in so much financially that I ended up getting put in a situation where I can't even ask nobody for that type of assistance. Like, I can't ask people for money. Like, I've asked my mom and my dad for money up until even last year or before that, because like, we all need help. You can't be afraid to ask for help. But a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, we're vessels. We are vessels for God, because it's not like I'm going up to, say, oh, if I sit here and pray and I talk to God, I'm going to hear a deep voice and somebody's talking back to me. Like, no, I have to read his word. I have to meditate on his word. I have to reflect on his word, which is the Holy Bible, which is the Holy Scriptures. I believe that. Now, but I say all that to say this. Never be ashamed to call his name out loud. Never be ashamed to call him Father. Never be ashamed to call on God proudly. You have to walk in faith, and you have to believe it in your heart. You have to posture your heart in his direction, because as much as we have to be submissive to governed laws, we have to be more submissive to God's word. So sometimes that requires genuine prayer, unperformative prayer, confident prayer, and even if you don't know what to do, seek him. It's important to be wise. It's important to listen to wise people. But if it doesn't align with the word of God, you have to reconsider, your stance. A lot of us deal with resentment. A lot of us deal with anger. A lot of us deals with fear. A lot of us deal with confusion and even judgment. And I say this to y'all blessed ones, and I'll be done. This is not a podcast episode, but I want things to be clear. And again, don't listen to me. Measure your heart. Go to God. Look in your word. And things will be revealed to you. But to me, like I said, with all my trials and tribulations, I still have today. So despite my addictions, despite my struggles, despite my shrinkage, I believe that with faith, with discipline, and with obedience, things will work out for His glory. And when things work out in His glory, things also work out in my favor, for where I will have a prosperous life and a sinless life. So blessed ones, remember, posture your heart to the Most High. God is in us all. He is our Father. He is our strength. He wants us to come to Him when we are weary. Nothing's wrong with going to therapy. Nothing's wrong with going to, close friends. But you got to remember, things have to be aligned in God's will. So y'all stay safe. I don't know where y'all at in this world, but if it's raining, y'all stay dry. If it's cold, stay warm. If it's hot, stay cool. But y'all have a blessed, prosperous evening.